It's the economy, silly, don't you know? You know, all these political things that are happening in our country, America, we're not special in that regards, although I wish we were. This economic meltdown is happening all over the world to all governments. It's about the economy. It's about money, silly. All the machinations we see with career politicians, it's about the money. All of these new rules that are pulled out of the air from our governors, it's all about the money. Governments changing things, politics, violence, riots, it's all about the money. You can be sure. So we're going to be taking a look at that as the astrological movement of the planet Uranus moves through the sign of the banker, Taurus, the banker, the money handler. It is maturing and it'll be with us for the next several years, all the way until the year 2026. We'll be reading from the Quantum Computer Systems website, which is called armstrongeconomics.com. And we'll be hearing from Mr. Martin Armstrong. Hi, I am JJ from Paranormal Talks. We are educational. We want to tell you more about what is happening in our worlds, those things that are beyond the physical, metaphysical, those things that aren't quite normal and secular, paranormal. That is a huge part of our lives that we would be well to understand and use to our advantage, since we are far greater than just this material flesh body and this material world. There's far, far more about it. So let's take a look at that. Armstrong Economics site. How do we get there? Here's our website, and if you want to know more about me, just click on About Us, scroll down, and there she be. I want to show you the cheat sheet also of these cycles that are in play right now. I like to refer to this as the baseline. This is astrologically based, which is very similar to the quantum computer system trends. You see these 3 cycles that we're in now? This video is about Uranus and Taurus. That's astrological speak, which is translated to regular English, which is the destruction of global financial systems as we know them. The last time the planet Uranus moved through the constellation sign Taurus was from 1935 to 1942, technically. And that was for 8 years. And with us, it'll be with us until the year 2026. So this is what will happen to us over these next 8 years, is the economy, the financial global system, and we'll notice it here in the United States. We already are noticing it. It is dismantling and destroying the global financial system as we know it. Then reconstruct the new global financial system and then bring it online by June of 2026. Now let's take a look at the Armstrong Economics site. Here it is. The road ahead, a complete mess. Now, Martin Armstrong has been crying about this, as well he should, as many other financial economic people, people who have investment recommendation websites and newsletters, who really know what's going on around the world. They know that all this lockdown with the virus is about the money. So let's read the questions that come to Mr. Armstrong from various people around the world, because this is global. This is a global view, but it also applies to the United States. Question: there's a theory that the markets, the stock markets, the investment markets, are rising because the riots, as the anarchy makes it more likely that Trump will win re-election. Now, this is how the rest of the world views the United States and the Trump administration. It doesn't matter so much what we think or what we feel, especially if we're Democrats, progressive, liberals, whatever you want to call them. Don't care. This is what the rest of the world sees and hopes for, the re-election of President Trump, especially the money people, the big institutional monies. Oh yeah. I'm wondering if the Democrats, if they remove Biden and replaced him with a better candidate, if this will cause the markets, the stock markets, the investment markets to tank, to go down. And Martin answers, I understand that is the fundamental people are trying to put on the rally. That is what the propaganda spin, the economic propaganda spin, are trying to put on the rally of the stock market. It is more complicated than that. It always is. The dollar is backing off as the European Central Bank, ECB, is trying to push the currency higher and supporting a bullish view that digitizing the euro will be bullish from the euro by forcing people to take their money to the banks. And he's talking about paper money, you know, the paper euro. The more control that banks have over money, currency, the better they like it. And I know that for a fact because I attended one of the board of director Denver chapter events where I met the president of the Central Bank of Kansas City, Esther. And even back then, this is probably 10 years ago, during the cocktail party, where she stated, along with a very good buddy of hers who had visited New Zealand, that the American people were very silly, stupid, in insisting that we continue to use paper money. And she was in great good company with all the other presidents of the other Federal Reserve banks. They wanted to digitize the money now because governments cannot pay that back. They never do, by the way. They never do. So that's why they want to digitize the euro. Keep an eye on Europe, because what happens in Europe comes to the shores of America as well. So these are punters looking for a quick profit and not the long-term trend. And here's a graph generated by the quantum computer system, Socrates. And this is a graph that shows the S&P 500 cash index in British pounds from December of 2019 till June of 2020, June 2nd of 2020 to be precise. And you can see how it's jumping around there. There has been smart money moving into the USA from Europe and Britain for fear of what is coming down the road in Europe. You see smart money, which is institutional money. They invest the money in pension funds. You know, all these pensioners have money and then it's supposed to be invested so that the pensions funds remain solvent, right? Well, that money, when the government becomes very unstable and the economy becomes very unstable, that money runs away to a stable country, a stable government environment, to where the money can continue to increase in amount. And that's what the money, that's what he's saying here. The smart money, the institutional money, usually, as well as very wealthy private investors, are moving their money to America. They're running away from Europe. They're running away from Britain for fear of what is coming down the road for Europe and Britain. Most of the calls that Armstrong Economics receives are getting, those calls are expressing sheer confusion, complete confusion. Over 100 countries have applied for economic relief from the International Monetary Fund. And the real problem is that pension funds ran into emerging market debt to get the higher yield. And that's very unstable. Now, pension funds must make 7%. They must pay out 7% interest. And what have the interest rates been these last 10 or so years? It's been well below 7%. So that tells you, that's a fact, that all pension funds are bankrupt. Pensioners will not get their full monthly checks. Not possible, not unless they get bailed out. And that's why these 100 countries have applied for relief, economic relief from the International Monetary Fund. They want to be bailed out because the pension funds are broke. But the European agenda, excuse me, agenda to move the economy to a new controlled green world order will devastate the emerging markets. Then you have the Northern Europeans. This is very annoying to Martin Armstrong. Then you have the Northern Europeans telling their people, the governments of Northern Europe are telling their citizens not to go south for a vacation, which will devastate the economics of Spain, Italy, and Greece, who are heavily dependent on tourism and those vacationers. This will come back to create huge riots. I'm editing it here because that is what will happen. We'll create huge riots that will cause these countries to secede, that is, separate, or demand that all debts be forgiven, converting them to perpetual bonds. That's what the debt jubilee is about, because those debts cannot be repaid. The second half of the year is now looking to be a complete mess on every front, especially the economic. If it is a mess on the economic front, you can be sure it ripples through everything and there's no escape. But you are not prepared because you know what is coming per the quantum computer system. Now you know. To better prepare, you may want to buy gold and silver. That's just a suggestion of prudency, and extra food, storing extra food. Food can be used as a currency if things can really get bad. So we are in for exciting times. So it's about the economy, silly. Yes, it is. So be prudent with your spending and your earnings and make them work for you. It's not a time to buy fun little doodads and play toys, but more to be very cautious with your spending. That's just an idea. That's just a feeling. Especially since Martin Armstrong's quantum computer system has a 90 to 100% accuracy rate. So I'm going with that. It's been a good bet ever since I came across it. So I hope this helped to prepare you emotionally, psychologically to the oncoming events that are waiting for us in the coming year. Do you say your prayers? They do work. So for now, this is JJ at Paranormal Talks, and we'll be talking to you later. Thank you. Bye.